Good to see you again.
Good to see you, partner. As always.
Yes, yes.
Good to see you at the track, not the museum.
Oh, and I love to be here too.
Good.
You know, and that off season just seems so long. I mean, it goes by fast. It seems like, but it's just so
fast for us,
long.
but I know what you mean.
I wanted to go back to Petit Le Mans a bit. The big talk back then was the use of direct injection on the car, and now you've got the new engine, and we've heard nary a word of direct injection. So, what is the status of that on the LS 5.5?
Currently, on our new 5.5 liter engine, although on our last series of engines we use direct injection, the rules now have read for GT2 that direct injection is not allowed. So we're currently running normally aspirated, no direct injection. However, I think by the end of this year, some manufacturers will be introducing it, and in balance of performance kind of move, I think we'll see the sanctioning body open the door up on that, and hopefully by next year we'll be able to use direct injection. We like that. It's very good for the Michelin Green X Challenge. The cars become more efficient. Throttle response is a lot better. It makes some sense. It's a wave of technology that all the future cars will see. We have it now on our Cadillac CTS. We have it now on our Camaro. So it's one of those deals that we talk about in our Cascade engineering.
Right.
You know, better production car, better race car. Well, we've got direct injection in production. We need to put that on the race car.
Okay. And also going back to last year in the final race at Laguna Seca, take us through the moments after the crash with Jan and the heart of the wall. The car took a significant hit.
Yes.
What kind of safety upgrades what did you find out in your post-crash analysis?
You know, in any kind of occurrence like that, which are always unfortunate, you have to really turn it into a positive, and you have to look for things to help improve you and make you better. And we were able to do that. First and foremost, again, talking about production to race car, utilizing that production ZR1 aluminum chassis, all right, which has General Motors, Chevrolet engineers, Corvette engineers specifically, engineered that element of crush in the design of that frame, was really responsible for Jan being able to walk away from that. So obviously we validated that design that GM Engineering had come forward with. Secondarily to that, we looked at our seat. Jan had a little tailbone bruise, a little tailbone injury, and we looked at the opening for the center seat belt to come through, its location and relationship to the tailbone, and we found that may have been a little bit close in that particular incident. So we kind of redesigned the bottom of that seat, relocated that belt, so if that ever happens again, probably reduce the chances of that happening. So those two things I think were the major positives that we came away with.
Very good. And in that accident, Jan was handed a 2-race probation period. Do the actions of both drivers, do you think that warranted a 2-race probation in the following season? And have you discussed any kind of strategy with Jan about the first 2 races and making sure that there's no more infractions?
Well, you know, it's interesting. I never try and outthink the sanctioning body. I learned a long time ago that that's generally not very beneficial. I can tell you that subsequent to that event, we had a very fruitful, meaningful meeting. Both Gary Pratt and myself flew down to Atlanta. We brought forward some data to help them understand exactly what took place at probably the last 45 minutes of that race. I think when we got done, some eyes were open. We talked about procedure. We talked about how things are done. Certainly did not request that probation be lifted. That was their decision, and we didn't want to put him in a position to have to go back on that.
Right.
Jan and I have sat down, we've talked about it, and you know, if Jan drives his normal race, it's not going to be an issue, and he knows that. So you have to be a little bit careful to avoid something like that, but essentially, you know, I think we'll make it through this probationary period without any issues.
Very good. The theme this year, at least from what I've seen in the press releases, has been the transfer of technology from the racing to the street cars. We know about the Z06 LS7 and the ZR1, but what other items or design features that racing has contributed to the regular production Corvettes?
Well, you know, we have a little a piece out there that occurs in all our media flyers, our little plug-in computer media sticks, all right, that outlines, I think, 17 or 18 different things. I mean, it goes so far as materials, aerodynamics in the front splitter, brake cooling ducts. When we look at things like a single wide air intake opening, the flush fit headlamps, I think there's 17 or 18 different things that are direct derivatives from the racing program that have been implemented on the new ZR1.
It's kind of interesting, you guys are going a little bit in reverse, it seems to be, from the GT1 program where, you know, the car was larger than what the production car is. And the technology seems to be going in reverse now, flowing from the ZR1 to now the GT C6R. How close are these cars?
Well, the cars are very close, and quite frankly, here's how that works. It's what I refer to as cascade engineering. We started out with a C5, and we were here. And we knew that we could get better with some improvements to the road vehicle, which we would homologate. So we went, and working with Corvette engineering, all right, we birthed the C6. And the C6 took away the pop-up headlamps, and took away the cat whisker grill openings, gave us the big grill opening we needed, and the flush feed headlamps. Then we homologated the C6, and we raced that. All right? And then we looked at 7-liter, right, which we developed in racing.
Right.
And they implemented it in Z06. And so then we homologated Z06. Well, all we learned in Z06 went into ZR1. So the ZR1 then gets introduced, and we're able to homologate ZR1. So this transfer of engineering back and forth, racing, building a better road car, homologating that road car, building a better race car, causes a continual escalation. And you'll see that again when we get to C7. C7 will be developed with a better street car in mind, consequently making a better race car.
You've had some opportunities during the off-season to put some miles on the new 5.5-liter engine. What's been the feedback from the crew and the drivers on the new engine?
You know, this engine has amazing potential to it. We certainly would have liked to have a lot more testing, because with any new engine package, you know, when you look at all the things you have to develop for your fuel injection, your intakes, obviously the durability and reliability parts, it takes a long time to get that down. If you remember, it was almost 2 years before we ended up with a package that was really durable and reliable when we first started this program. I think the learning curve is going to be a little quicker on the 5.5, but at this point in time, you know, this will be our first 12-hour event. We'll keep our fingers crossed. We know we're as well prepared as we can be for this event. But when you take all the testing, that's meaningful, but until you apply it to a 12-hour race, it's anybody's ballgame. We hope to come away from here a whole lot smarter than when we arrived, and that's usually the case. So I think you can look forward in the future, great things coming from this 5.5 liter.
And you have a new driver this year, Emmanuel Collard. What was it you liked about him, and why is he a good fit for the number 4 Corvette?
You know, Emmanuel Collard is from Paris, France. Emmanuel drove for us in our Cadillac program when we had the Cadillac LMP car, and did a marvelous job for us. At that point in time, we also brought him in, and he did some test laps in the Corvette. So he was pretty much a first-tier candidate. He's pretty much plug and play. Didn't need a lot of testing. Didn't need a lot of review. I think you only need to look at his racing record. You know, he comes from Formula One, as so many of our drivers do. We've got the best 6-driver lineup any place in the world. I'd match him up against anybody, any place, anytime.
And both Corvettes are headed to the 24-hour Le Mans this summer in France. But that required invitations as opposed to the automatic bids that you would have gotten had you raced in GT1. Was there a little bit of Doug Fehan style lobbying going on, or the yellow Corvette's pretty popular over there, so it made things easier?
Well, I can tell you this about going forward with that invitation. You know, it wasn't a little bit of Doug Fehan lobbying going on. That doesn't work with those guys. It was based on this team's performance as a group. We had an invitation to do GT1, which came with our victories during the course of the season and our victory at Le Mans last year, but we're racing GT2 now, so that's a different category. So we had to depend on what we had accomplished in the past, the guys working hard to establish a great reputation, and that's what the sanctioning body looks at. So I don't want to say that it was a shoe-in, but I think we are in a pretty strong position to get the kind of consideration that we got and ultimately get the invitation accepted.
Very good. And just one last question. What was your first trip to Sebring like? What were you doing? Were you involved in racing, or were you a fan? Take us back a little bit.
Oh, God. No, I was involved in racing. I don't think I can remember the first year I came here. It was in the 70s at some point in time. But honest to God, put me on the spot, I don't remember what it was for.
Well, very good. Well, Doug, I definitely appreciate your time, and good luck to you this season.
Always a pleasure. And all the best. You guys, CorvetteBlogger.com, it's where it's happening.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.